My ancestry is Indian, but my people, they left India right after World War II because the area where we are originally from was divided up by the British and we had to leave. So we became basically refugees. My grandfather, he moved to Singapore. My father was the eldest, so he came out to Singapore to look for work. He left school. He was about 14 or 15. He couldn't find work in Singapore, but he did get a job offer in Java. And so he ended up in Indonesia. And then in the 60s, he moved to Hong Kong. And he got married, so that's where me and my sister were born. And then we were raised Hong Kong, Jakarta, Singapore. Got sent for a few years to live in India, boarding school and whatnot. And that's it. And then we came back. Family's always lived in Indonesia. So this is my home, basically. And I'm in Bali, in Ubud, and I like it here. I love it here, actually. I never thought I would. I was a big city boy all my life, but somehow I like it.
Your name?
Oh, Pradeep. Pradeep Nathani.
Cool.
Uh-oh. Those questions always sound like one of those Tony Robbins shows, you know? Like, what makes you happy? I think for me at least, being able to live in, I'm not saying it's perfect alignment, but in some sort of alignment with my belief systems, how I wish to interact with people, how I'd like to sort of contribute. I think that's what makes me happy, right? And of course, I'm always grateful that I have wonderful people, you, so many other people around in my life here. And that, yes, the gods have seen fit to give me good health and this really amazing sort of life I've had. You can't invent it. Well, that wasn't your question, was it? Your question was what makes you happy. So I said, I tried to answer that. Meaningful or not is a separate question. Most days I'm a bum, so I'm not sure how meaningful that is. Let's be honest. I think we all have a purpose in life, and that is important. But it may not be defined, right? Because when we define it, and this was something I read, I think it was a book by, of all people, this comic artist, Scott Adams. And he said, goals are for losers. And I thought that was a funny thing to say. You know, this whole industry of self-help and success and whatnot is about fixing your goals and then chasing them. And this is one of the beauties of living here, especially in Ubud, is that kind of, when we chase and we stress ourselves out, it actually doesn't work. And you're left with this really weird, empty feeling, even if you achieve something like, okay, what's next? Because it doesn't feel very organic. I guess that's the best explanation I can come up with. So, is there a purpose? Sure. Can I define that purpose in terms of a big house or $1 million or whatever? No. I just feel that every day if I'm working, I'm improving on myself, I can contribute something to the people around me, and I can do the projects that interest me, and that I can do it within an ethical and a moral framework that I'm comfortable with. That's enough. I believe that the entire urban industrial education system that we all grew up in, especially that I grew up in, is actually very contradictory or paradoxical, because it kind of forces into all these boxes to achieve some kind of material goals. But they don't really provide anybody with any satisfaction or happiness from the vast majority of people that I met. You know, I'll give you a simple example. I would go to bars or whatever, and I would meet all these people, and commercially or financially, they're quite successful. They're programmers, marketing people, some are entrepreneurs, a lot of them were bankers, lawyers. This is in Hong Kong. And all of them were on some kind of substance abuse. Nobody was actually happy. I'm like, you, socially, you are the definition of success. Good education, good background, good job, good income. Why are you so freaking miserable? But they're kind of trapped in that system, right? You don't want to get out because you're comfortable. And your parents say, oh, good boy, good girl, right? My daughter has this great job with whatever, some fancy investment bank. You know, my son's doing really well. You know, he's a computer programmer, and his company's promoted him and give him stock options, you know. And I say, I know your son and your daughter. I wouldn't want to be them. So maybe that, you know, that's kind of the opposite, where you seem to have a very fulfilled life because all the pieces are in place, but it actually gives you zero inside, right? The system exists for itself. The system is interested in its own perpetuation, not in your happiness, not in your perpetuation. You're expendable. As long as there are enough people, you're expendable. This is why they're always like, yeah, have more children. Wow. Why would you want your children to suffer this miserable life? Excuse me. There's a reason why people in cities don't have kids. That's everywhere. You go China, you go Korea, you go United States, you go Europe. Even here, you go to the big city like Jakarta, you'll find people start having one, two, or none. You come to Bali, or you go to the more sort of rural parts of the country, and then you find bigger families. And that's not necessarily a cultural thing, because you find European people, I used to have European friends, no kids back home in Europe, they come here, and then, you know, suddenly, yeah, one kid, then two kids, and I'm like, what happened? Well, I think you guys are doing great. You're in the right place. You're asking the right questions. I think you're doing great.
And for someone who isn't asking the right questions?
Start asking them. Excuse me. Right? Don't, you know, the thing is, you can't be passive about your life. Right? There has to be this search. Whether you want to call it a search for meaning, a search for purpose, a search for anything, there has to be this. And then somehow you will encounter people, events, situations in your life, and you learn from all of them. And sometimes it happens sooner. You're lucky. You're young. I wish when I was your age I had this kind of exposure, because I didn't. At your age it was like, get an education or go into business, go to work, you have to make money. And that's it. And then what? Oh, then we'll find you a nice wife, and then you'll get married and you'll have kids. And that's it. That's also a system, right? The system wants to perpetuate itself. Me, I'm just another dope in that conveyor belt, for lack of a better word.